It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
In terms of our picture of what a perfect parent is, Bandit doesn't fit the mould, and I think that's actually what makes Bandit perfect.
And now here's the stars of our show, my mum and dad.
Hello, this is Dr. Justin Coulson. Welcome to the Happy Families podcast for the week leading up to Father's Day, this coming Sunday. And we've got some really exciting plans for the week on the podcast. You're going to meet two of Australia's most famous dads from your television screens. We're speaking with Osher Gunsberg and David Campbell. I'm so excited for these conversations. Plus, we're also going to chat with one of the funniest dads on the internet, James Breakwell, otherwise known as the Exploding Unicorn on Twitter. He has over 1 million Twitter followers and is the author of 4 books and the dad to 4 young girls. Imagine that. Between the two of us, we have 10 daughters. And on today's episode, something a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke with Justin Rouillon. You might have heard of me speaking of Justin Rouillon on the podcast. He is the producer of the podcast. He's the guy that edits it and makes it sound great. But he also works on a podcast called Bluey's Brisbane, which goes behind the scenes of the hit TV show, speaking to cast and crew and deep diving into the world of Bluey.
Let's make some Father's Day cards for Dad.
I'm going to do a red love heart rainbow card.
Oh, great.
Hey, what's going on?
Dad, get out!
Oh, after all I've done for this family.
We had a chat about Bandit Healer. Now, for those of you who don't have young children, Bandit is the father of Bluey and Bluey's younger sister, Bingo. He's the much-loved dad dog at the heart of Australia's favourite 4-legged family. He balances the drudgery of housework with creative escapades of his puppy dog babies, repurposing everyday objects and actions for imaginative play and engagement. And Justin and I talked about Bandit's parenting style and what we can learn from it. Hope you really enjoy the interview.
Can you earn your keep, please?
Nah, I'm done being a meanie parent. My new parenting book says not to boss the kids around.
Oh, I like that book.
Thank you so much for joining us on the Bluey's Brisbane podcast.
I'm so excited to be able to talk Bluey with you.
Well, we love Bluey here. I'd love to get your take on the character of Bandit Healer because, one of the things that, TV critics are constantly sort of wowed about is this portrayal of Bandit as a dad. He's not the real bumbling kind of dope that we're kind of used to in TV dads. I'm thinking Homer Simpson, Daddy Pig from Peppa Pig, King of the Hill. Is it really important we see this positive representation of parents on the TV?
A couple of things about Bandit. First off, I don't think that there's any attempt by the makers of Bluey to make Bandit perfect. And in fact, Bandit is not perfect. It's pretty clear as you're watching that Bandit can get kind of annoyed, be a little bit short and sharp, abrupt, blunt with the kids.
Come on, Dad.
Bingo, let go, mate. Yeah, hey, look, I'll just
show you
explain it.
something.
What you need to
Come
give me
on.
is... Bingo, let go.
Bandit does kind of just
Sorry,
want to
sorry,
do
you need
Bandit's
to give
own
me
thing.
4.
Like, I wouldn't mind sitting down and reading the paper and not being disturbed by you kids go and play somewhere else kind of thing.
All right, girls, who wants to sit on the couch and watch cricket?
No, not me. No way.
In terms of our picture of what a perfect parent is, Bandit doesn't fit the mould. And I think that's actually what makes Bandit perfect. So if I'm watching a Bluey episode, what I tend to see is Bandit taking what psychologists would call a minimal sufficiency approach to parenting. That is, I'm going to do enough to have a sufficient impact, but that's all I'm going to do. Like, I'm not going to raise the bar so high that I've got to be a helicopter parent, a gentle parent, an attachment parent, a free-range parent, and all those other things all at once. I'm just going to be the present father. I'm just going to be the present parent. And so long as the kids are okay, I don't actually need to get involved. It's the minimal sufficiency paradigm. And I really like the way they portray that. But with that comes some other advantages from a parenting point of view, but also for the kids. So there's kind of, I guess, associated with it, there's what I would call a middling level of I was going to say attachment, but it's probably more a middling level of detachment. Bandit's not really involved, but is present. And there's a whole lot of research that shows that when kids have their autonomy, when they're able to act for themselves, when they're the ones that are in control of the decisions that they're making, but there's a parent who's around, who's hovering, not hovering in a helicopter sense, but hovering as in a I'm present if you need me kind of sense. That's the sense that I get when I watch Bandit in Bluey. Middling detachment, present, minimal sufficiency, but also a couple of other things struck me. Number one, fun and engaged. When Bandit needs to be there, he's there. And there's kind of a really easy nature to the way that he interacts with the kids, doesn't talk down to them, doesn't ignore them, doesn't think he's better than them, doesn't go with any power plays, just talks to them like they're people that he really enjoys chatting with and can be himself with. Knows how to hold firm on limits. You see this again and again in Bluey. Bandit has an expectation of where the kids are supposed to be. And what I love about Bandit's expectations is they're pretty well in line with the developmental reality of where the kids are. And this is so important because as parents, we often expect way too much of our kids emotionally. We don't usually expect enough of them from a physical capacity, but we expect way too much of them emotionally. And Bandit doesn't tend to do that. Bandit's expectations are about right, holds firms on the limits because they seem to be pretty well appropriate, but allows loads of space and autonomy for the kids. It's just such a great way to portray an engaged, involved dad who gets that some structure and some autonomy are both important for the kids.
I'm thinking about an episode called Ice Cream, and it's got this great opening scene where the kids are, pestering Bandit for something in the shop.
Dad, can I have one of these?
And if you pay for it yourself.
But I haven't got any money.
Well, then you can't have it.
But I want it.
Well, that's commonly called bad luck.
No, that's not fair.
It's pretty fair.
You're right. He does hold firm on those boundaries that he sees fit that he needs to hold strong onto. The episode of Bluey that really drew me into this role of Bandit was the episode Takeaway. Classic depiction of how parenting changes you in that, just going and picking up some takeaway, what should be a simple job just descends into absolute chaos. There's just all sorts of pandemonium in this episode.
Where's the nearest toilet? Oh, that's too far. Bingo, can you hold on till we get home?
I'm fasting.
Okay. It's a bushweed.
Was this your experience? Like, you're a dad 6 times over. Was this your experience with your girls in that phase of parenting?
We don't have kids with an expectation that life will be simple once we've had them. And if we do, we're in for a rude shock. Having children means that your life is probably not going to be efficient for a very, very, very long time. I love that Takeaway episode, and watching it just it makes me laugh and cry all in the space of 7 minutes. The role of parent is exhausting, and this is an episode that highlights it so beautifully. There's that other one where they go to the movie theatre, same kind of thing.
Okay, 3 tickets and a popcorn. And another popcorn.
Nothing is easy. Nothing is straightforward. Nothing happens because you've wished it so. And what I love about the way the makers of Bluey depict these scenes is they're all so minimal. They're all such small issues. There's nothing big going on here. It's not like there's been an earthquake. It's not like there's been a car accident. It's, I need to go to the toilet and I'm thirsty. And all of a sudden somebody spills their drink, or they spill their popcorn, or they spill their Chinese at the takeaway, or the spring rolls are going to be an extra 5 minutes, but the kids are tired and hungry and everything kind of blows up. I love the way they depict how exhausting parenting is, and they get it absolutely right. Once you have kids, you should expect that life is not going to be straightforward ever again.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. I'll do it. Even though I have to make a duck cake for your sister, the hardest of all cakes, I'll just tidy up your mess instead. I'm about to start.
One of the great things about the show is it's not cynical, though. They do show those difficult moments, but I don't think there's any cynicism in there. I read a great article by a writer called Jessie Waddell, who wrote in the Medium publication. She said, "Why is every dad in every TV show made to look like becoming a dad was the worst thing that ever happened to them?" So obviously Bandit's breaking this kind of stereotype of the dumb dad. Why do you think dads especially are portrayed in this way in pop culture?
When I consider this question, I think that it's just easy. It's cheap laughs. It's easy to portray dads as the bumbling fool or the detached, disoriented, not quite with it parent. It provides a comic foil. We can all relate to the dad who is a bit goofy and loves to do the dad jokes and play the fool. And I think because dads in their nature tend to be fairly playful, that also lends to that stereotype, which then gets exaggerated, magnified, amplified, blown up on a lot of the shows that you've referenced. Is it helpful? No. Does it make me feel good about watching the shows? No. It's okay to not be overly critical, though, because we all like to laugh at ourselves and we like to laugh at those characters, but we know that they're simplified shadows of what a real dad is.
You've watched the show, obviously know that, creative and imaginative play is one of the huge, features of the show. Why do you think it's so important for dads to be present with their kids. Specifically, I'm thinking of episodes like Rug Island. It's almost like Bandit needs to become a kid again to play the game. Why is it so important? Why is playtime and being present so important with our kids?
One of the things that researchers have discovered in the last probably 20 to 30 years is that while mums love to play with their kids sometimes, and while mums are certainly capable of doing it and doing it well, there does seem to be something of a gender divide when it comes to playtime, children and parents. And that divide seems to highlight that dads enjoy and engage more in playtime with kids. They're also more likely to play with rough and tumble styles of play than mums are.
Now I need to get these 2 packages delivered. But first I need to stamp them. Stamp, stamp.
I mean, mums can get down and dirty in the mosh pit with the kids on the lounge room carpet as well. But it tends to be the dad that dives in and does that kind of thing. We don't really know why. We don't have good scientific reasons and hypotheses for why that is. It just seems to be the way that it goes. What we do know is that children benefit from that playtime, and that when parents can let go of all of their reservations, their inhibitions, and can get down and rough and tumble on the carpet with the kids, or play marbles, or play card games, or play Monopoly if you have to, or whatever it might be, or just tickles. I mean, in my family, my kids have got this game called Push Dad Off the Bed. And it used to be fun when the kids were little because no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't push me off the bed. Now that they're all getting bigger, my youngest is now 8. And then there's a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. They're the 3 youngest. I don't stand a chance.
Not a fair fight.
Not a fair fight at all. I'm a 70-kilo cyclist, and it gets really, really bad really, really fast. They get their shoulders into me, and they get their chins and their heads into me, and I'm off the bed straight away. But the kids love that, and they learn how to take risks. They learn about consent. They learn about boundaries. They learn about limits. They learn how to have empathy. They learn how to get along in all kinds of situations where the pressure is off. There's a lot of social skill stuff happening. There's a lot of creativity that happens. This is the stuff that happens when we play with our kids. The research shows that it's of tremendous benefit to them, but the data also shows that we get a great big well-being kick out of it as well, which is kind of funny because most of us as parents are so exhausted that when the kids want to play, we sort of say, oh, do I have to? I mean, we kind of become Bandit in a way. No, that's right. You kids go and play. I'm just going to read the paper here on my own. And then, I don't know, we get involved and we think, why did I not want to do this? This is the most rewarding thing I've done all day.
What did she give you?
Everything.
So do you think Bandit's a good example of the modern dad? I mean, I'm thinking of, my dad and in the 80s, and there really wasn't a lot of expectation. You go to work, you put food on the table, and that was about it. We watch Bandit, doing the laundry and doing his fair share of the housework. He cooks the cake in duck cake for the birthday cake, hardest of all cakes, for the kids. He's sort of doing his fair share of the housework. Is he the modern dad, do you think?
Yeah, is art imitating life or is life imitating art?
Yeah.
What I know from research is that Bandit is a great representation of what most dads say they want to be. That is, they want to be sharing at a much greater participation level in the home. They know that their wives or partners are not wholly and solely responsible for the cooking and the cleaning and the ironing and the washing and the whatever, looking after the kids. And they don't want to be seen as a wallet. They don't want to be seen as the cash dispenser, the one that pays the bills and doesn't really have any emotional investment in the rest of what happens in the family. So what ends up happening in Bluey, I think, is representative of what most dads are saying they want. That is, there's the opportunity to go to work and have a meaningful role outside of the home, but there's also a real desire to be involved in meaningful ways in contributing within the home, but particularly in participating in the relationships.
Amazing. Just finally, I know you have written at length about the modern education system, about how that can diminish our kids' creativity especially. When we watch Bluey, we see a different kind of model of education happening, and it's very clear that Bluey's school is modelled on a Steiner school. I think they call it a Waldorf school in the States, where play and things like being in nature, the arts, music are all prioritised.
That looks good.
I'm building a house. It's going to have a bottom room and a top room.
Wonderful.
You know, as someone who sort of said maybe there's a better way of doing education, how do you feel seeing this, I guess, a different model of education being depicted on our TV screens? Like, how does that make you feel?
I think that anyone who watches the way the education process plays out in Bluey is going to say to themselves, I would imagine most people would say, I want that for my kids. There seems to be a really nice balance, a really healthy approach to learning and development and the pursuit of interests, the opportunity to be curious and explore. Those are the kinds of things that we know are really beneficial for kids. We also know from research, not just in Australia, but around the world, that our modern Western education systems from time to time, in fact, quite often, sometimes depending on the school, can really stifle those opportunities, those experiences. So what I think they've done really nicely in Bluey is portrayed what I don't know if I want to say optimal, but certainly an advanced and improved, fancier kind of model of education could look like and how that can be a benefit for the kids.
Thanks, Calypso. I'm going to write my story now.
Okay, have fun.
Dr. Coulson, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find out more about you and what you do in terms of making families happier?
All roads lead to happyfamilies.com.au. Just search my name and I'm pretty sure something like that will come up.
Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, Justin.
Bingo! Pink car!
Go, Rainbow! Hooray! You're the best day in the world!
Really?
Yeah!
Woo! I'm back, baby!
Well, I really hope that you enjoyed that conversation. JR, why don't you tell everyone where they can find the podcast and everything they need to know about it?
Yeah, thanks, Justin. Well, it's like Justin's in stereo around here, but if you want to get a bit of Bluey in your podcast feed, Bluey's Brisbane is the podcast that goes behind the scenes of Bluey. We talk to cast and crew from the show. A lot of fun. Check us out by searching for Bluey's Brisbane wherever you get your podcasts, or you can find us on the socials as well. Just search for Bluey's Brisbane on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
Thanks, JR. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rouillon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer, and for more information about making your family happier, visit us at happyfamilies.com.au. Tomorrow, Osher. Wednesday, David Campbell. And Thursday, James Breakwell, the Twitter exploding unicorn. A big week of Happy Father's Day content coming your way.
You don't put tomato sauce on pavlova?
Je vous la fenêtre.
That's it. You're out of here.